Thought, by its very nature, does not simply describe reality, it recreates it. It takes the raw materials of experience, the sights before your eyes, the sensations in your body, the memories you carry, the fears you've learned, the hopes you've imagined, and weaves them into narratives. Some of these narratives are benign, some are helpful, but many of them are illusions, quiet distortions that alter the way you perceive the world, yourself, and even the future that has not yet arrived. The mind is not an objective camera, it is a storyteller. And stories, by their very structure, simplify, exaggerate, emphasize, and invent. They turn fragments into continuity. They turn uncertainty into conclusions. They turn possibility into expectation. What the mind creates is not reality itself, but a reflection shaped by memory, emotion, habit, and conditioning. To see this clearly is not to condemn the mind, but to understand it. When you understand the storyteller, you are no longer fooled by every story. Every illusion of the mind begins with a small seed, a thought. A simple, neutral thought may appear, like, she hasn't replied to my message yet. But before long, the mind begins weaving. The storyteller steps in. Maybe she's upset. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe something bad happened. Maybe she doesn't care. Each layer is imagined. Each layer is added without evidence. Yet each layer feels more real than the last. This is how illusions take shape, not through a single dramatic leap, but through small, unnoticed steps. And because each step feels justified, we rarely realize we have left the ground of reality and entered the realm of imagination. If you observe closely, you will see that the mind almost never tells stories in isolation. Thoughts come attached to emotional tones, which themselves breed further thoughts. A fearful thought invites more fear. A hopeful thought invites more hope. A self-critical thought invites an avalanche of judgment. The mind compounds itself, reinforcing the illusions it generates. It is like a room filled with mirrors, each mirror reflecting another mirror. A single image multiplies into dozens. A single thought multiplies into a narrative. And because the reflections appear everywhere, we assume they must be real. We forget that they all originate from one source, the mind itself. One of the most subtle illusions created by the mind is the illusion of continuity. Life unfolds moment by moment, yet the mind stitches these moments together into stories of who I am, what always happens to me, what the world is like. These stories feel ancient and solid, but they are, in truth, made up of selective memory. The mind clings to certain events, ignores others, magnifies particular patterns, and from these fragments constructs an identity. This illusion can be both comforting and imprisoning. It gives us a sense of coherence, a sense of me, but it can also bind us to old versions of ourselves, old wounds, old fears. The mind may replay a painful memory again and again, not because the event is happening now, but because the narrative has become part of the illusion of identity. There is another illusion, the illusion of catastrophe. The mind is remarkably skilled at projecting worst-case scenarios. It imagines dangers that have not occurred, loss that has not happened, failures that have not unfolded. It paints the future in strokes of fear, often convincing us to react emotionally to situations that exist only in imagination. This ability to simulate danger once helped our ancestors survive. But today, in a world where many threats are psychological rather than physical, this same ability becomes a source of anxiety. The mind anticipates danger, even where none exists. It mistakes imagination for reality. The most pervasive illusion of the mind, however, is the illusion of control. The mind believes that by thinking enough, analyzing enough, planning enough, it can prevent chaos and guarantee outcomes. It tells us, if I worry about this, I can stop something bad from happening. If I think long enough, I'll finally understand everything. If I analyze every possibility, I'll never make a mistake. Yet in truth, thought cannot control life. The river of reality flows independently of the mind's attempts to manage it. And while thought may help us navigate, plan, and reflect, it cannot dictate the unfolding of life. This illusion of control creates tension, exhaustion, and a constant sense that things are on the verge of falling apart. Unless we think harder, illusions are not lies told by an external force. They arise automatically from the mechanics of the mind. The mind is like a projector, casting images onto the screen of consciousness. If you confuse the projection for reality, you will suffer. If you recognize it as a projection, you become free. When you begin to observe the mind's illusions, something remarkable happens. Their power